So on the 1st of September last year, I did a video on the new NXT 2.0 logo. It was brightly coloured. It did pretty well, actually. It got about 300 views, which is pretty good for me. And now, a year later, I am doing another video on the NXT logo, which has again been changed to talk about redundant content, but it is what it is. Hello and welcome to FTTR, I am Ewan McQuaid, and today we are talking about the new NXT logo. It is back at the end of this week's NXT 2.0. We saw a video package from Shawn Michaels where he did a really good, speech about the history of NXT, and it was only about a minute or so, but at the end, the NXT 2.0 logo changed to a new NXT logo. The 2.0 is gone. Instead, it's been replaced with the black and gold logo, not the identical black and gold logo from the Triple H era of NXT. It is the NXT 2.0 logo with the 2.0 gone, and it's just black and gold. Simple as. Now, again, it's a logo. Maybe I'm diving too much into this, so I'm going to get into my thoughts on what's going to happen with NXT, but this to me is only a good thing. The NXT 2.0 was a good, decent experiment that didn't particularly work, in my opinion. There were a few bright spots here and there. Bron Breakker, Carmelo Hayes, Toxic Attraction, they've all been really good. But at the end of the day, it's not what wrestling fans want, watching sort of this weird mix of developmental and just weird horny sex appeal, which is what NXT 2.0 was for a long time. This feels like Triple H grasping, taking back his NXT, and he's going to reshape it in the vision that he wants it to be yet again. Because this, following the NXT Europe situation and Worlds Collide, where we got the NXT UK Championships unified with the NXT Championships, it seems like we're going to get a lot more streamlined NXT and a lot better continuity in that world, which I think is only a good thing. And what I think will happen is we're going to get back to work rate style matches in NXT, because that was what the brand was built on. And you've essentially, when NXT 2.0 was announced and the first few episodes were released, you essentially cut off that audience that were watching for the work rate and for the indie stars and for the high quality matches, because that's not what NXT 2.0 was about. It was developmental for these talent, for these wrestlers, but that's not good for an episodic TV show. It's just not. The matches aren't good enough. So Triple H, going back to basics, and the storytelling that he can have in NXT, we've seen has been consistent, and it has been great. I'm very excited to see where this goes. And are we going to get more indie stars brought in off the back of this? Because the nil Next In Line program seemingly has just gone out the window, and Triple H is going back to his method of bringing in top indie names to the company, which is a good thing. It should have worked back in the day. Like, Adam Cole should have been a main eventer on the main roster. Ciampa should have been a main eventer on the main roster. Andrade should have been a main eventer on the main roster. But they weren't packaged correctly when they were brought up. Now with Triple H in charge of the main roster and NXT, that's going to mesh a lot better. And the presentation we see in NXT when they're honing their gimmicks, honing their craft, that's going to be translated across to the main roster. Like Johnny Gargano, perfect example. He is NXT Johnny Gargano again, but on the main roster, and seems to be connecting well with audiences. His match with Chad Gable, fantastic. It got a great reaction from the crowd. So that through line just works a lot better, and it makes NXT not necessarily must-watch TV, but more interesting because there is that crossover there. Before, it felt like NXT was its own universe and the main roster was its own universe, but now it's going to be like Torchwood and Doctor Who, or the Sarah Jane Adventures and Doctor Who. I could have used Marvel, but no, Doctor Who did it first. So yeah, I think the crossover there is going to be really, 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 really good and really juicy. But the big question on everyone's minds, will we finally see a return of NXT Takeovers? I think yes. The specials that they do are good TV specials, but I think Triple H really wants to get back to his old ways of NXT, and that is including the takeovers, because the takeovers for a long time, for a period of about 5 years, were just on a consistent run of being the best wrestling shows in the world. Every time there was a takeover, it probably have a 4.5-star match, and then they went on a run of just getting like 5-star matches. I don't understand why he wouldn't do that. Maybe they're not drawing enough. Maybe the I can't even remember what it's called, Capital Wrestling Center, CWC. Maybe that's not what he feels a takeover should look like. I'd love to see NXT grow to the popularity in which they can fill arenas again, because like the NXT arenas set up and stuff like that, like for Takeover Philadelphia and Takeover Brooklyn and stuff like that, just look great. And it was one of the best times to be a wrestling fan in that era of NXT. So I feel like he will bring back takeovers, and I think we'll probably see a transition. I feel like Bron Breakker will probably move to the main roster very soon, and we're going to get someone like a Jordan Devlin, maybe an Ilya Dragunov, maybe an Oney Lorcan, who's seemingly hinted at coming back. I think you'll get an indie star take the NXT Championship and run with it in this new season era of NXT. And I think that's very, very exciting from our perspective, because you can see, a rising tide raises all ships. That's a good saying. It's a good saying to know. And the way Raw has been, the way SmackDown has been, can only raise NXT. So Triple H is just raising the stock of WWE at a pretty crucial time when AEW has had all this drama. The competition is not doing too well. They had a great episode of Dynamite, but that whole controversy has sort of overshadowed everything in AEW and left sort of a bad mark on it. Whereas Triple H is using forward momentum to just raise NXT, SmackDown and Raw, and he's got to be praised for that, because before, probably about 3 months ago or whenever it was when Vince retired, I was not going out of my way to watch Raw or SmackDown or anything, because there was just nothing interesting happening on there. But every morning now, whether it be a Tuesday morning or a Saturday morning, I am looking at the SmackDown and Raw clips and what has happened on the show. I want to keep up with what's going on, whereas before I didn't have that. So only props to Triple H, because he's made an incredible turnaround. Not everything's perfect, not everything's fantastic, but he's done a great job so far at maintaining the momentum of those flagship shows, and it seems like he's going back to the style we loved for NXT, which is only good for wrestling fans. So I'm really excited about this, really excited to see where it goes and what the sort of progress is going to be on this. And yeah, I just can't wait to see what happens with this. It's a fascinating time to be a wrestling fan, and yeah, let me know your thoughts on the new NXT logo down in the comments below, and I'll try to reply to every single one of you. Thank you all ever so much for your support, and have a nice day.